thought we had more time. We thought we had maybe weeks, maybe months, the final moments of her life. And I spoke to her. We stood around her, literally stood around her as a family, and we told her she had done well, that she could leave, that she was free to go. Because in the end, she was a fighter. She understood that she wasn't going to be cured, but she wanted to be here as long as she could be, and she fought into the end. And that moment was both heartbreaking and beautiful when she took her final breath. She wanted to make it to the day of her son's graduation, and that's exactly what she did. So she passed on Wednesday, mid-afternoon, and his graduation from middle school was later that evening. And we asked him if he wanted to go. We gave him the option, and he said yes. And so we all went to support him.
What was that like, watching him cross that?
Well, we were extremely proud of him that, given the choice and given what he had been through that day, he wanted to walk across the stage, and he did it. And, other people there couldn't tell what we had been through that day or what he had been through that day, because he smiled, he walked across the stage, shook hands, and, talked with his friends afterwards. And I think she was there. I think she saw him. We took videos, we took pictures, we shouted and clapped for him.
A lot of people, I don't think, understand what a great mother she was and how much of herself she poured into Langston.
They were extremely close. He was her only child, and she homeschooled him for many years as well. He's an extremely brilliant, gifted child. He's very resilient. We're so proud of him, and he is her legacy.
Did she leave him with a message?
She spoke to him both in the hospital, privately. They were face to face. He was laying across her chest. She spoke to him at home several times, and we let them, we left the room and let them have private conversations. So she spoke to him extensively, and she knew that we were going to take care of him. We will take care of him, and that he will not be without a mom. I call him my nephew son now. So, and of course he has his father as well. So he's well taken care of, and will always remember the legacy of his mother.
Have you seen the outpouring of love from celebrities around the world? Gabrielle Union, Jamie Foxx, Kelly Rowland, just a few of the folks that are posting and talking about Ananda and what she meant. And I hope you get a chance to show some of these to Langston so he can see the effect that his mother had. There was a point where she was the it girl. She really was a voice of a generation.
I'm Ananda, and we're counting down the top 10 videos.
We got a phone call. Hi, caller. Welcome to Teen Summit.
Hang out with Brittany all day long.
A lot of people are saying she was a cultural icon, and I really hadn't thought about that. I'm like, but now I'm understanding that really she was. And, a lot of, artists who have been in touch with me have expressed that, back then there weren't a lot of interviews, especially of African American talent, and she was very persistent, with the producers and with, the people that she worked with to portray people in the right light. Not everyone who's a rapper is a thug and a gangster, and they're intelligent. And she would, give them the opportunity and the platform and ask the questions that would tease out that and show that. And so that's some of the things that I'm sort of remembering or really coming to my mind now, is that she really did a lot for the culture in terms of expanding our understanding, especially of African American artists, and helping them to get on, to be put on the stage.
That was Old Dirty Bastard with Shimmy Shimmy Ya.
I remember being in the studio back when she was at BET, and seeing her on stage, and when the cameras would roll, like how she would just click into this powerful, intelligent, wonderful woman that everyone adored. From my little sister, and it was just astounding to see her do that.
Well, welcome back. We were talking about old school, new school, unifying the hip hop nation.
People out there who don't know, because Ananda, with Langston, and she walked away from the spotlight,
Sure
and
did.
was much more concerned with her life and his life. Why was it so important for her to leave the spotlight?
I think she had done everything she wanted to do. I mean, late in her later career, she still did some, occasional shows. She was just very careful about what she chose to do, I think, in her later years, because she understood that time is precious, energy is precious, and she wanted to put her time and energy to those things that were most important to her. So she was an activist to the end. She was a counselor to the end. She was on the phone with other people who she'd met along the way, along her treatment journey, and who had cancer, and she was actually counseling them, which just blew my mind. She was encouraging them. She was, telling them it was going to be okay, and that they were doing the right thing, and talking about how to deal with their children. I mean, she was literally counseling others while she was undergoing treatment, and that just astounded me. But that's who she was. She was so compassionate, so caring.
I have been fighting to get cancer out of my body for a really long time. I have refused mammograms, and that was a mistake. I wish I could go back. This is way harder than I thought.
You were also her caretaker.
Yes. I did everything from, run around and get her whatever food she wanted. She wanted everything from a hot dog, which she never would eat before, or ribs, which she had stopped eating, to organic Greek yogurt. Whatever she wanted, I got it for her.
There was an interesting sit down that Ananda did with Sarah Seidner. They talked about, Sarah especially and Ananda, what they were going through.
My plan at first was to get out excessive toxins in my body. I decided to keep my tumor and try to work it out of my body a different way. Looking back on that, I go, you know what?
Explain to me what she tried to do in her treatment.
So many things, different diets, different protocols, different energetic work, everything. I've done everything.
Well, and I want to clarify, because people are saying she chose not to get treatment, and that's not true. She did have treatment, and she survived for over 6 years. She told me of her diagnosis, which was at that point stage 3, in January of 2019. And from that point on, she was under a form of treatment. So either, a more holistic treatment or traditional treatment. And towards the end, she did embrace traditional treatment and took traditional medications under an oncologist's care. So she also received radiation, but she didn't go the completely traditional route. And as an MD, it was extremely difficult for me, because of course I wanted her to go the traditional route. I'm actually a survivor myself. My mother is a survivor. And I went the traditional route, and, knowing what I know as a physician, that's what I hoped for. But at some point I had to really come to the understanding that this was her choice, this was her body, and this is how she wanted to proceed. And she was very successful in extending her life. I know many people who had stage 3 who did completely traditional medicine, and who are not here, or who didn't last as long as she did. So I think there's something to the sort of treatment that she chose in terms of diet, exercise, other forms of treatment that included low-dose chemotherapy. And as I said, even though I didn't agree with it, in the end I accepted it because it was her choice, and I supported her in that.
For me, alternative is still the best way. I stand by that.
What was her legacy?
I think her legacy was grace. Her legacy was beauty. Her legacy was intelligence. Her legacy was kindness, caring. She did a lot of things for people that no one knows about, that she didn't tell anyone about. She left with the world. I think she was a light.
The legacy of coming from an HBCU, Howard University, and what that also meant for people to see someone coming from that pipeline.
She was a very proud Bison and graduate of HU. So Howard University meant the world to her. It seemed that everyone that came into her life, or she came across, she affected so beautifully in some way. And I think that is her legacy.